more my lectures.
Yes.
Now, did he argue in regards to with the men that James sent against him? Yeah, the Jews that were with him, Barnabas and Cephas. Did he argue with them?
No, you're talking about which incident are you talking about?
When the men from James, yeah, come to Paul, and he's eating with the Gentiles, and when Cephas sees the men from James, he stands up to say to him, set him side away from these Gentiles. Do you recall?
Let's go to the verse. That's not what happened.
Look, if you don't know, no offense, if you don't know the Bible, I can't engage.
That's the point.
Okay,
I know
sure.
it is.
Okay, let's go. Okay, let's go. Have you got a Bible on you?
Yeah.
Okay, come. It wouldn't be in Corinthians. It's either Galatians or it's Galatians or Acts.
No, it's Galatians 2.
Yeah, it can't be a thing. Corinthians. Okay, here you go. Galatians 2. Yeah. When Cephas, who? Peter came to Antioch, I opposed him.
Yeah.
What does oppose mean?
Well, you argue.
You're saying I lied. Yeah, you're saying I said he fell out. What does oppose mean? I'll read more. He opposed him, I opposed him to his face because he stood condemned. Now Galatians is written by who? By Paul. So we don't hear the other side of the argument. For before certain men came from James. What did I say, James? You said, I think you're confused, Hamza. That's not the case. It's exactly as I said it. Certain men came from James. Who is James?
He's one of the elders.
He's one of the pillars of the church. James and who else? There's three of them, the pillars of the church. Who are they?
It would be James, John, and Peter would be young.
And Peter, the three pillars of the church. So he said, for before certain men came from James. So that's how we know James is the leader of the Jerusalem church. He used to eat with the Gentiles, but when he arrived, he began to draw back and separate himself from the Gentiles because he was afraid of those who belonged to the circumcision group. Let's go to the next verse. And the other Jews joined in his hypocrisy, so that they by the hypocrisy, even Barnabas was led astray.
Okay.
So am I right in my recollection, or you still think I'm wrong that he opposed them? Okay, so what does your answer? That he fell out with?
The falling out.
Okay.
They had an argument. Okay. So when people argue, do they automatically fall out?
You keep saying falling out. I'm clarified if that's what you. I don't need to say. Do you understand the point that I was made? Is that he argued with them. And here it says he opposed Cephas to his face for his hypocrisy, and Barnabas and the other Jews. Do you get it?
So if you did say falling out, you take that back.
I have to see that. If I no, but what is it you're understanding from that? That you're trying to base your argument on. What is it that you're?
I've had arguments with people, but we don't fall out. We just have an argument.
Well, this is it. This is it. One can suppose that they fell out completely. Yes, because from the year 60 onwards, we don't hear anything from Paul, do we?
We don't hear anything.
No, we don't.
Right,
do we hear anything from Paul?
Have you read 2 Peter?
Paul did not offer 2 Peter.
No. What did Peter say?
What was my claim just now? What was my claim? What did I just tell you?
Which one about?
Now we don't know. Basically, we don't know what happened to the end of the life of Paul. We don't know. What we have is Acts, which was written at the end of the 1st century. Now, in Acts, which is written by Luke, or so they say it's written by Luke, it could clearly tell us what happened, because the Acts of the Apostle is about the life of Paul.
No, it's about multiple people.
No, it's called Acts of the Apostles, but the main character in Acts of the Apostle is Paul. If you read it
later on, at the beginning.
Luke, no, yes. So the main character is who?
Of what?
Please, thank you very much. I can't have a discussion with you not being genuine.
I'm answering your question.
No, anyone who knows the Bible and Acts, the main protagonist of Acts is Paul. It should not be difficult for you.
Chapter? Do you want me to tell you?
What did I just say? What did I? No. Repeat to me. No. Look, Michael. I don't like these type of disingenuous discussions. It wastes my time. I said, who is the main protagonist of Acts? I never say which chapter. I said of Acts as a whole. Who is it?
from Acts 13 onwards, it's Paul. I'm giving you the answer.
No, you're acting like
No, it's
childish.
because you don't know. That's why.
What's
You
that?
just don't understand.
What I don't know?
No.
What's it?
You don't know that most of Acts up to the beginning.
In
about
the beginning
Peter and
is
John.
yes, I know. I've read
So
Acts.
why did you ask me
No,
that question?
I asked the main character, and you said which chapter. I never asked you which chapter. You changed my original question to suit your purpose. Anyway, Paul, if you want to know, yeah, the Acts it actually doesn't mention about the death of Paul. It stops mysteriously, so we don't actually know what happens to Paul.
Yeah,
The first Christians ignored him entirely. Up unto Justin and Martyr, we don't even hear about him. His works with you asked a question. You want the answer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Okay.
problem is
So it could be very it could be very well that Paul did fall out with the disciples completely, and we don't hear from him. What we do hear about Paul is his side of the story. The New Testament, 27 books, composed 13 of them. That's half of the New Testament by Paul, but we don't hear the other side. What we do have in this incident is two books. We have Galatians, which is written by Paul, and the other side of the story is Luke, who is the traveling companion of Paul. But we don't have the story of what happened in the Jerusalem Council from James, not the Jerusalem Council. We don't. Listen to my words careful. We don't have the account of what happened in the Council of Jerusalem by James, by Peter. We have it from who? Acts, which is Luke, a companion of Paul, and from Galatians. Is that clear? So which part of what I said was a lie?
no. So essentially, if you
You say that I lied.
No, I just wanna
I'm
make
just
sure.
asking you.
So if you said they fell out,
Okay, no
you'll take
offense.
that back.
Yeah. No. I said it's still possible. I said it's still possible. I don't even know.
No, according to direct evidence that you read, that's what I'm going by. So if you
Okay, let me show you more. But this is one of those silly arguments that get nowhere. That's what I'm saying. It's like even if I prove to you, you're still gonna come up with a different one. Yeah. How many churches were there that left him?
how many that
Yeah.
however many.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I just have one question.
Yeah.
Is Jesus the creation or the creator?
Yeah, they want to know about this stuff, like this incident of Antioch, which I was talking about as well. Yeah. If you just
Searching on Google.
Didn't even wait for the question to get answered.
from where the Bible, I don't have the Bible app. I'm not a Christian.
No, which one you after? I can find it.
When all the churches left him,
The left of it.
huh? See, that's what I'm saying. I don't
it's
think you
people.
know.
It's people.
No, he says all of the churches of Asia have left me. You don't know them. This is what I'm saying. It's difficult, Michael, to speak to a person if they don't know the Bible.
Yeah, but you're happy to speak to that guy.
No. But they don't try to argue from their whims like you just argue. You said you said they made this so smart Alec comment, yeah? Oh, you use a Google, you don't use the Bible. I go straight to the Bible. But then when I mention something of the Bible, you don't know about it.
No, the reason why I said that is because of
You acted like as in what I said wasn't there, but it was there. Oh, so you know what I'm saying is
It's
there.
recorded, so everyone can find
Yeah.
it.
So no. You know, 2 Timothy 1:15 make it easy for you. You know that everyone in the province of Asia has deserted me. Why have they deserted him?
Right. So 2 Timothy.
Oh, no offense, I need to give da'wah. This is the reason I'm here.
So you're fine lying to that guy, but now
You keep
someone
lying,
comes-
yeah, but we've had plenty of people come. No offense, I've spoken to you. You said that when Paul says he opposed Cephas to his face, you asked me when did he argue, or you said when did he fall out, yeah. But what's the point you're making? The greater point you're making? What's the point? That what?
No, it's all the stuff you were saying to that guy about Paul, and even Dawood was joining in.
But you haven't made a point. That's what I'm saying. Paul. He didn't agree with the apostles. You see, in the Council of Jerusalem, do you know what the Council of Jerusalem is?
Yeah, when they're talking about the Gentiles.
Okay, why are they talking about the Gentile
Well,
child?
because people are accusing Paul
Yeah?
of saying that the Jews shouldn't circumcise their children.
Is Paul doing this?
Huh?
Is Paul doing that? Telling them that they shouldn't circumcise? I want to know your opinion.
No,
He's not doing that.
no.
Okay. Is he telling the people that the law is not important, from what you understand from the readings?
Yeah, but remember, the council is about
No,
him
I'm-
telling Jews not to circumcise their children.
No, I'm asking you in regards, because the James is saying that we're hearing that you're telling people that you're to move away from the laws of Moses.
Yeah, the Jews.
The Jews, yeah. So is this true or not?
No. But you realise that James agrees with that?
So now, why is it then James doesn't argue back? Why is it James says here, yeah? Answer me this, yeah? Look at all these thousands of Jews who are jealous for the law. Yeah? Why is it that Paul is told to shave off his hair and do the sacrifices, and he does it?
So that they can see that you
That
do
he's
follow the law.
okay. So this is the point, that the law still exists for the Jews.
Yeah.
And Paul, he's saying that the law is not fully for the Jews. He's saying the circumcision is not only of flesh. Yeah, he talks it down. He said you should not get circumcision. Eating with the Gentiles in this incident. One second. In the incident of Antioch, who is he condemning? Cephas, who is a Jew. What is he condemning him from? Eating with the Gentiles, because their food is unclean. One second, the food is unclean. And who has come to them? James has come to them.
Yeah.
So yes, he's condemning Jews for not following for following the law. He says, I stood up to him because he was a hypocrite. Do you understand?
Yeah, the reason he stood up to him is because Peter, assimilating with the Jews, because he didn't stay and eat with the Gentiles when the Jews were there.
Yes, because he knew that the laws were still bound.
No,
But
it's nothing to do with
no, of course it is. Why did Peter stand up then? Why did Peter stand up?
Stand up for what?
What do you mean for? No offense here. I don't mean to be rude here, but the conversation goes nowhere.
That's your question.
It's not. Why did Cephas? You act like you don't know nothing. That's why it's hard to do.
it's the way you're
Why
saying
did Cephas stand up when men from James came to him?
No, it's before. The men from James came because of what happened. So
When the men from James came, it says that Cephas stood up. Why did Cephas stand up? This is the last time I'm asking. If you're going to pretend you don't know what I'm asking you, let's leave it short.
He said, fearing them which were of the circumcision. That's what the text says.
Yes, exactly what I said. They came and he stood up. Now, why did he stand up? That's the next question.
No, because it says, the true separated, so fearing them. Yeah, so he.
Come on, Michael. Don't act like you don't know. This is wasting my time in your time. You know.
You don't want to answer my questions. I'm answering yours just to be, just to be nice.
You're not answering mine just to be nice.
Yeah, because remember I said about.
Okay, please, no offense, no offense.
Will you withdraw what you said if you said that he did say?
Okay, so
that
this is
fell
my
out?
position. This is my position. You want to honestly know? I feel that Paul, did argue with the disciples. Not only did he argue with the disciples, he argued with his own churches. Yeah, and he told them that they have to listen to him. This is my honest position. Yeah, they have to listen to him. Yeah. Are you saying it doesn't exist?
No, he wouldn't order them to listen to him.
Okay. I may not be an apostle for them. I am an apostle for you. He says, if you hear gospel other than the gospel I teach you, then this gospel is wrong. Follow my gospel. Yeah, you know.
I think you have to get that verse. No, so
Also, I don't mean to be rude, Michael. But I don't mean to be rude, Michael.
Yeah.
But it's like every time I'm quoting something, it's like you want.
because it sounds strange.
Okay,
So
because that's why I'm
the
saying.
actual
That's what I'm saying. That means you. I don't think you're fully acquainted with the Bible to have this level of
text.
discussion.
Yeah, but what you're saying, that's the point. I had to do the same.
I don't know if you're being. Honestly, I don't know if you're being disingenuous, Michael. Yeah, but no problem, innit? So he says, I am a apostle to you. I might not be an apostle to them. Is that what you're saying that you're not familiar with, yeah? Michael. Michael, you're wasting my time. I'm sorry. Please, Michael, please. Once I'm off this place here, I'll speak to you. Once I'm off this place. This place here is because I'm giving out free material. Yeah. If someone,
But you were there when you were talking to the other guy for a long time.
Who?
No, it was.
Was it on this?
Yeah, it was right here, and Dawood was.
Yeah, but
standing
Michael,
beside
this conversation takes so much time. Do you agree with that?
him. With the other guy.
Yeah, but he understood when I was saying something. Yeah, he was understood. I'm telling you something that you're it seems like you're unfamiliar, but I feel that you know. To be honest, I feel.
It's very simple. He's just saying, sorry to interrupt you. I
Yeah,
don't
no,
want to be rude.
no, that's right.
It's genuine. It's just it
Yeah,
doesn't sound
First
familiar
Corinthians.
what
Yeah,
he's
that's what I'm
saying.
saying. But
He's asking for
that's what I'm saying. But you know,
clarity.
because I'm here for a purpose.
Go
Yeah.
on,
Look, This is not the first, this is like the third verse I'm showing him, yeah?
Go on.
It says here, yeah, even though I may not be apostle to others, surely I am to you. This is what I say, and it says it, is exactly as I quoted it. Is exact.
Did you quote?
Oh my God.
You got the recording. And
You just don't say. Please, Michael, I don't mean to be rude to you.
No, it's fine, 'cause I just
when
wanted to have
you
this-
remind me of Paperboy. You speak very similar
The
to
reason why I wanted
Paperboy.
to have this conversation is just
It
because,
does, like, yeah.
it's just because of what you said to these guys. So at least now you know that. when
No,
say
you
something
haven't
about
established
Paul-
anything.
No, all I'm saying is that when you say
Look, Paul. He argued with. For example, they were following a. Paul is here. He can actually help me. Where is it? Which letter of Paul is it? He's talking to his ministry, saying, "Do not go to a different gospel. Stick to the gospel I preached to you."
Would that be an Acts or in
No, it was a London letter. I think it's Philippians
Galatians.
or Galatians. Yes, Galatians. So let's go to Galatians.
like Jewish Christians who
Yeah.
disagree with him?
Yes, exactly.
James.
Okay.
Paul's defending his gospel, my gospel, he said.
Yeah, my gospel.
His own personal gospel. Against those, obviously, Jewish Christians who
Here you go.
James.
So no other gospel. I am astonished that you, and he's talking to Galatians, are so quickly deserting the one who called you to live in the grace of Christ and are turning to a different gospel. And he goes, which is really no gospel at all. Evidently some people are throwing you into confusion and are trying to pervert the gospel of Christ. But even if we or an angel from heaven should preach a gospel other than the one we preach to you, let them be under God's curse. An angel under God's curse. This is Paul. Also, oh, okay, man. It's pleasure.
What's the point?
Yeah. So the point is that there were people that Paul was arguing with in even his own churches. So there were parts of his church were going to other gospels, and this is why he had to address them.
Yeah,
And this was my whole point.
Well, it looks like they were being misled, and he's trying to correct them.
No, but you could say it's misled, yeah, if you see it through the lens of a Christian. Do you understand? From the lens or the lens of a Christian. From here is that you have Paul. He teaches a Gentile Christianity, which is completely different from the Jerusalem church,
Why?
which the disciples are teaching.
No, it doesn't
So
say that. It doesn't say
I'll
that.
build. No, it doesn't say this here, but I'll
All
build.
he's saying is that you're being
yeah,
misled.
I know.
Listen to me.
I know.
This is
Yeah,
my
I know,
gospel. It doesn't
I
mean he
know.
wrote the gospel.
Yeah.
He's saying
Yeah.
what I know is how
Yeah,
it
so
should be.
this verse doesn't say that.
Is that
That's
you?
just, that wasn't a claim what we
Here,
said.
he said you didn't get the gospel from any man.
He
You got
said
it directly from
Jesus.
a revelation.
A vision.
But the gospel that he
Yeah.
preaches is very different from the gospel the apostles and Jesus himself preached.
Where does it say that?
No, it's not one single place. This
Galatians
is
chapter 1.
Please show us, if you don't mind.
this is. Look, and so
I thought you would know.
this is it's
Assume
like
you-
it's
assume you
hard.
know
No,
it.
it's because the way you quote it in a different
But
way.
what?
from
But you
what's written.
no, I
That's
quoted
why.
it word for word. You saw it, yeah. I swear the gospel. I think I might not be a
All you've shown.
Please, I don't mean to be rude.
Yeah, no, you carry on.
Because I quoted something. He said the way you quoted it sounded like it's not from the exactly how I quoted it was there.
All right.
Now you mentioned something, yeah, but this is the methodology is slightly wrong. So you said, yeah, where did it show that a verse where what the disciples teach is different one from what
apostles-
Paul's
the
is
apostles
teaching.
teaching.
Yeah. So it's not a single verse. It's the whole of what we get from Galatians,
You have to get
particularly,
all the
and
context
Acts, and exactly. So what we
That's
know
not
is,
easy
and
to
historically,
pinpoint.
yeah. So it's this is why it takes a long time to build up the discussion. What we know.
Like a Muslim.
Oh, sorry, Manish.
You have to think like a Muslim, and then
Yeah, basically.
No, well,
Your answer is
yeah. Are you done?
there's no answer.
Oh, nice.
So you haven't given us an answer. You've just.
No, I have, but you.
Basically
Yeah.
saying I have to give you various many points for you to
That's what I'm saying,
understand
yeah.
it. I can't
And
just
I'm
give
willing
you
to
one
do
line
that.
and
I'm
say
willing
this.
to do
So
that, and I have
thinking
done
like
it. That's why he's
Muslim
coming
means,
out.
we actually
So,
do our research.
what is it? There's a Jerusalem
That's
church.
how
I'll tell you
Muslims
in
do their
synopsis
research.
first, yeah? And then if you want all of the details, you know.
tell you exactly what it
Good.
says.
So Jesus came, and in Matthew it says, I've not come to abolish the law or the prophets. I've come to fulfill the law. He says, whoever breaks the law, he should be called the least in the kingdom. And whoever follows the law and teaches others to follow the law, and I can show you this if you think it sounds different from it should be called great in the heaven. I say unto you, unless your deeds exceed the deeds of the Pharisees, ye should not see the kingdom. You have to go, yeah? Oh, everyone's going. You should not see the kingdom of heaven.
Correct.
So Jesus actually taught the law. And not only that, the disciples followed the law. Up until even after the death of, you say is the death of Jesus. Now what happened was Paul on the road to Damascus, I'm telling you very briefly, but it's a very long thing, yeah?
No, I had a
On
vision.
the road, he had a vision. And this vision wasn't shared by his companions who was with him.
Hang in there. He heard the voice.
He heard the voice.
And they heard the voice as well.
So it
So that
depends
was
where you're
shared.
reading. So
So
if
that
you
was
read,
shared. No, just same verses there.
no. So there's
Further down, they heard it as well.
yeah. So
So
in
they did
one,
share- they
so
did share that
yeah.
experience.
So.
But he only saw the vision. He was one and he saw the
So there's a different accounts. There's different accounts. It's more than one account, yeah. Account.
Different perspective.
Let's see.
Because he fell off, he heard the vision, he heard the voice. Further down you read, they heard the voice as well.
Well, let's see. I'll show you. There's different. Huh?
But what's the point
Gave
anyway?
it once and Paul gave it twice.
Yeah, exactly.
what's the
exactly.
point,
Yeah,
innit?
that's
Carry
the
on.
point. And a different.
No
different
need to-
account.
no need to be
Well, let's look.
distracted.
No, but you
Carry on
you
anyway.
stop. But the different accounts is the point. One account he says he sees it. One account he says he hears it. Yeah. The other account he's blinded or so. The other guys don't see in the one account. The other
That's
was
not a
yeah.
problem.
Yeah, no, but I'm
If
just
one
the
gospel
point.
says
Yeah.
he saw and another gospel
No.
says he heard. It could be both. Just one didn't mention the hearing, one the other one, you know. But carry on.
So he
What's
has
the
a
point?
it's a large point. Is that what he
Come on.
preaches is differs from what the
Apostles
apostles teach. So anyway, he doesn't see Jesus in flesh. The apostles, which were chosen by Jesus in flesh, did, and they followed the law as Jesus also followed the law.
Okay.
They also, but Paul, on the other hand, he goes on, and some say this is called antinomianism. I'm not sure, antinomianism. Teaches, it doesn't believe in law, or not the law that Jesus teaches, the laws of Moses, some people have different varying degrees as to what part of the law. So now Jesus, what we understand is when the disciples hear of Paul and his teaching, they're very concerned. So James in Galatians, and it's found in Acts, convenes what's known as the Council of Jerusalem, and he tells Paul off. He says, we hear that you're teaching the people that not to hold the law.
I agree with you, there
So
was
this is the accusation that even apparently according to these testimonies we're hearing of Paul. But Michael is saying, no, where's that? No one claims that about Paul not teaching. But this very council is to resolve that issue. That we're hearing that you're telling people not to follow the law of Moses. But this is different from what Jesus taught and the disciples taught. So this council is now convened. It's known as a Council of Jerusalem. And in it, Paul is subject to the law himself, the law that apparently that he's trying to break. So they're saying that, James now is saying, all of these Jews who are zealous for the law, they need to see that you yourself have an apostate and there's no truth in this claim. So shave off your hair and do the rituals. And he done the rituals, which means he himself is also subject to the law. Now what Paul says, he says, unto the Gentile I become a Gentile. I'm not sure if he recalls this or sounds a bit. And to a Jew. So he's speaking with a double tongue here. He says also, if by my life the truth is abounded, then why do you judge me as a sinner? Now why would someone make that disclaimer? I know I am. I moved to the.
That's good up to now. Thank you.
Yeah. So
What
did
was
you
the-
understand?
what
So
was the
Paul
apostles'
now the New Testament is made of 27 books, and 13 of them is Paul's writings. Half of those Paul's writings are known as pseudepigrapha. We don't know if we can ascertain if Paul is the author. So they say maybe it was written in Paul's name. Now we have about 6 or so that we can say from stylistics it does belong to Paul.
See, the thing is,
So that was my contention, but he said,
hang in there,
Yeah.
hang in there. You've done very good, thank you. Basically, apostles are teaching something, Paul's teaching something else. Then he goes and he says, he contradicts himself.
and-
I'm to the Gentiles, but then I'm a Gentile and I'm also to the Jews. To the
and
Jews.
he doesn't mind doing
and then
that. Yeah,
Jerusalem.
he doesn't mind.
Now you say your point.
Yeah,
No, so what you just said there about the Paul's writings, Is that unanimous from the Christian scholars?
Modern contemporary scholars have a field. You want me to answer it or not? Listen to the answer. Nothing in Christian scholarship is unanimous. I think you know this. Do you know this? Do you know this?
Yeah.
Okay, so to
unanimous
ask,
on the
no,
resurrection.
So you should.
no, even in the resurrection, they're not
No, you
unanimous.
don't. No, carry on. Carry on.
So this idea, yeah, that they have to be unanimous on a topic is not true.
No, but then you should say what you say about Paul. That is not unanimous.
What's not unanimous?
What you said about his writings being pseudepigrapha?
The majority on modern contemporary scholars agree in the field of pseudepigraphy that half of, in fact, I'll show you. Because I think you're quite argumentative. You come across as very nice, but you argue, and then I have to show you.
He's very gentle. straight
He's very
man.
gentle,
Don't
yeah,
say
yeah.
that, that's
But the
wrong.
problem is that he opposes every point, and then I show him, but he still doesn't accept it.
Well, ask
Look.
him, do you agree? What is it you don't agree?
No, he's saying, don't say unanimous. He
Yeah.
never said unanimous.
Yeah, exactly.
He said majority of the scholars.
Now,
He
okay,
didn't, though. He
I
said
didn't say
majority.
that. I never said unanimous. I didn't say. But majority of scholars agree that most of the writings of Paul in the New Testament are pseudonymous. They don't belong to him. It's called pseudepigrapha. Even Bart Ehrman writes a book called Forge explaining this.
Please.
But I'm going to show him.
Not respect him.
Do
But one second, one second.
you know what that means?
Yeah, but
So many people say to
no,
me,
but this is so known. This is so known.
so
Pseudepigrapha.
he says a lot of things which are very wrong, but no, carry on.
Let me show this point because this is the one where he
You have to
stopped it.
understand
Yeah?
what that means, what he's saying. What he means is that someone's copied Paul's writings and written them down in their own style.
He never said that.
No, but that's what he means.
He said
No, who
13.
said
He said
that?
13
No, that's
scriptures.
the meaning of
He
it.
said 13 scriptures are implied to be Paul's inside the Bible, right?
Yeah.
That's out of 27, so at least half of it is implied to be Paul. Now, only half of that has been verified by a majority of the scholars
Thank
that
you.
it belongs to Paul due to the handwriting. The other half still hasn't been verified.
Based on handwriting.
Yeah, but we're happy not with scholars. We're happy with the church fathers.
No, but he's correcting me,
The community
but they're
that grew
scholars.
From there, the eyewitnesses that were there.
His
They'll
contention with
criticize
me,
you.
his contention with me is that I didn't say that unanimous. You know, I say that unanimous, but I didn't say this. Look, if this topic of pseudepigrapha is well established in scholarly circles, you don't have to believe it. I believe that scholars endeavor throughout their life to come to a certain point. Every clothing you have in the basis of a scholarly endeavor, the floor that you walk on is based on scholarly endeavor. They need to get biologists, even your feet,
Bring the ideas
orthodontists, all bring ideas together so then they can have a holistic idea and understanding. So this idea, like when you say church fathers, they are scholars. They were the first scholars. Yeah, Eusebius, Athanasius, they were all scholars. Yeah, they were scholars. You can't say they weren't scholars.
But anyway.
They're scholars. But going back to it anyway. So the topic of pseudepigraphy, if you don't know, it's a very interesting point, yeah? That books of the Bible are not really from the people who is attributed. And some of them, for example,
Why'd
are
you
the
say
book.
that?
This is not me saying, that's what I'm saying. It's
Eyewitnesses and eyewitnesses to eyewitnesses.
So let's stick to one
They,
one
in the
point.
community,
Yeah.
they named them books right at the very beginning.
That's all.
They attribute the names of who wrote them.
So we'll get to that question. One second. Let me just finish. Let me finish thing, yeah? So what are the pseudepigraphy? You could type this in any Google search, yeah? Be judicious in your sources.
I'm going to call the police in a minute.
But you have to be judicious. And,
It's good. You know what's good? You know a lot. You remember every point, and you're carrying on with your points.
But this is the problem. You know, when you ask a question, yeah, sometimes it goes off so
pushes you
far
off
in,
track,
yeah, and then I'm told to justify a point that I don't even believe in. That's why I'm trying to understand what is that he's come to me today, Michael. Yeah, he said everything I said was lies. Then when I quote the Bible, he said this, I don't remember it as like that. But then I show him, he doesn't back down and say, sure, you're right. He's not saying that in this. You heard this. Anyway, now when it comes to maybe. But this is what I'm saying. It's not beneficial for me to argue with a debater who's not willing to understand. Do you see my point of view?
You should say for the camera's sake, say your points.
I just forgot to come.
There's about 10 million people on this film.
So
Let everyone
pseudepigrapha.
make their own mind.
Yeah. So
What did you want? Cut them and tell him, oh, I'm sorry. Just say your point. Don't worry. Be happy. Man.
Epistle to the Ephesians.
Yeah.
Epistle to the Colossians, epistle to the second epistle to the Thessalonians. My pronunciation is all bad, yeah.
All Greek, this, yeah.
All Greek,
I'm
yeah.
Greek.
Yeah. You're Greek, yeah? First epistle to Timothy, the pastoral letters, yeah. Second epistle to Timothy and epistle to Titus. These 6 books are referred to as the Deutero-Pauline letters, meaning secondary, standing in the corpus of Paul's writings. How many? 6.
Yes.
How many of these books do you have in the Bible? 13. The other ones are disputed, and this is what the word that I always use, they're disputed.
Now, who
meaning
disputes them?
the scholars.
Which scholars? Modern day scholars.
Modern day scholars, yeah.
Why wouldn't they dispute the early church fathers and
So they
scholars
did.
before?
So this good question that you. What's your
No,
name?
it's very important.
Yeah, yes, I'll answer this. I don't mind you asking me questions, yeah, but
Yeah, I'm
it has to be
not
genuine.
talking, we're not
Michael's
ego.
genuine questions was like
There's
bouncing.
things I don't know. I say I
Of course,
don't
we
know.
learn from each other, yeah.
Yeah.
And just so
What's
you
your
say
name?
I don't know.
Okay, just give me any name.
George.
George, yeah.
What's your
So Hamza. That's nice to
please.
meet you. So I like the way your line of questioning. So
No,
now,
it's very important.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
no problem.
If
It's gentle
if
discussion.
you say I don't know, it doesn't mean you're
Yeah.
wrong. It just
Thank
means you
you.
don't know at that point.
Thank you
And
very
same
much.
with me.
Thank you. And
We're
this is
just
why I don't
learning
like
and we're
debaters here.
discussing, yeah.
This is why I don't like debaters here. It's like they expect
ego.
everyone to be an ego, a walking encyclopedia. So they come research and they come up.
Yeah,
I don't do. You watch my debates. I don't put people down. All my discussions, I try not to, because that's for me, that's something like.
alright, but leave
but
that,
anyway,
leave that.
so
Before you
how
carry
do
on.
we know? So your last question in regards
No,
to
no,
the.
question saying that's-
1 second. So Hebrews was once upon a time believed to be a writing.
No. My point is, sorry, I'm interrupting you because I know when you carry on, I'm going to forget because I've got a very short memory.
All of us. Huh?
I've forgotten. No. Right, one
No,
minute.
I
The scholars,
remember.
The early scholars, the early days. There was
Why
no
didn't they dispute?
Oh,
They
yeah.
weren't
That was your
dispute-
question, yeah. Why
Yeah.
didn't they dispute?
They didn't dispute this.
Okay,
This
so
was
some
all
of the early-
authenticized
yeah.
in the early church fathers. The
When you say
the
early church
councils,
fathers,
the
yeah,
councils,
this is good
This
question.
was all agreed.
This is a good
Why
question.
now these modern scholars? Only when it was the World War, the German scholars, they bring up other things and they're refuted. You've got Bart Ehrman,
George.
allegedly he's a scholar.
So
He's
I
not
agree with your
an
question.
idiot.
I got your question.
Answer me that point.
Good,
now.
okay. So now when you say the early scholars, he's referring to from the 4th century. This is more than 300 years. I'll explain, trust
Which
me.
scholars?
I'll explain, trust me. Let me have some kind of time.
time.
Yeah, just to build
Apologise.
no problem,
Carry
George.
on.
Courteous gentleman. So in the first, no, I'll take it. So, so the first 300 years, there were different canons, and not even canons, sorry. There were different writings held by different groups of people who would be identified now as Christians, but they weren't Christians before. They're Jewish people, majority of them, who believed in Jesus. And on the other hand, there were Pauline Christians who were Hellenistic, and they believed in Jesus. So they're not Christians as we know. Because Christianity is a developed thought that came afterwards, and I'll explain that later as well. After the death of Jesus, as you said, there were multiple people who believed in Jesus, not because something was written, because of oral tradition. After the oral tradition, this is why scholars like Streeter, and it's generally accepted, there are 4 different levels to the compilation of the Gospels. One is the oral tradition, then it is the collections, then it is the proto-Gospels, and then it is the Gospels. So this is the period we're first talking about the oral tradition, and then afterwards there were collections like the Gospel of Thomas, which is just a gospel of sayings sort of thing, and the Q1, which is just a gospel of saying. Now there was different groups with different books, and each of them argue. How do we know this? We have what you call is heresiologists like Epiphanes, Irenaeus, Athanasius, Eusebius, that argue about these different types of sects. They're writing much later on, but they're looking back through their Trinitarian lens and saying that these sects are wrong. But at the time, because there was no Bible or collection of books that any one Christian can say that group is wrong, because the collection of the Bible came afterwards. What spurred it on is interesting. Someone called Marcion of Rome in the year 150 came with his own compilation of Bible, the first Bible that we have, or canon. He had all the letters of Paul, and he had the Gospel of Luke. So this shows that some of the groups, early ones, which you can even say as scholars, because he himself had many followers, he cancelled out the Old Testament, because for Marcion, who was a disciple of Paul, yeah, you know exactly, he believed that only these books were divine. He rejected John, he rejected Matthew, he rejected Mark. So it's only when you come to the year 331 when Eusebius says Constantine issued a verdict for him to do or authorized him to collect an official record of all the inspired books. Whether he completed that, we don't know. But what we have, the earliest list that we have in the completion that has all the 27 books of today is called in the, I think, the 8th Athanasian Easter letter, where he writes all of the 27 books. But even at that time, what they accepted, we no longer accept. For example, Hebrews, almost consensus amongst modern scholars that Hebrews, and some of the scholars of back then also, did not believe Paul wrote it. So scholars from that early church fathers did not believe Paul. In fact, even if we go back, just modern recent history, Martin Luther King called the epistle of James the epistle of straw. And the reason is James is supposed to be a brother of Jesus and like the head of the early Jerusalem church. He says that there's no, like, his focus of the book of James, is the life of Jesus, the teaching of Jesus. But Christianity isn't much of the teaching or life of Jesus. It's about the birth, the death, the resurrection. And that's why Martin Luther said that this book is a epistle of straw, because it doesn't teach about theology, it doesn't talk about resurrection. But what we know is that these things must have not been important, because in documents such as Q, in documents such as the Gospel of Thomas, and what they were sourced from as the common source sayings, there is no resurrection. These are the earliest strata of writings that we have. There's no resurrection. It shows, even if the resurrection did happen hypothetically, it was not important for these communities. When James was writing, it clearly was not important for his community. When Mark was writing, because Mark finishes in chapter 16, verse 9, it did not have any resurrection. It was just an empty tomb. The woman's left and they told no one. But then afterwards, someone forged the ending of Mark, which is later appended to it. In Mark, it clearly shows there's a community who did not think it was too important to have... are you still recording? Huh? No, it's good, it's good. Look at his face. Do you see the way he replies?
Man, he's on the roll,
do you see the way he replies? Like, obviously, like he speaks to me like... Why do you speak to me like that?
Carry on. Don't. Why do you allow yourself to be distracted? You was on the roll.
Yeah, no, you've been implying.
Don't be sidetracked.
Yeah. So there are books that early church fathers argued about, early communities argued about. There were compilations to this day. The Protestants and the Catholics have different amounts of books in it. So we can't just say simply there was a unanimous decision that these are all of the books in the Bible. It never was like that. It never has been like that. And some extra material just for food for thought if you want. Or do you want to say anything?
No, put the cream on the cake.
You know, there's a philosopher called Seneca, Now, he was a famous philosopher. Now, people want to know, like, if Paul's writings are so famous, then how come that philosophers like Seneca don't know about Paul? You know what happened? Letters were forged from Paul to Seneca and Seneca to Paul in order to boost the credibility of Paul, to show that he interacted with philosophers of his age. But the reality, these are forged writings. And we know this because we've got many computerized methods of detection, such as stylistics, for example. It measures the length of sentences, because when you technically, when you write, some people, for me, can go on and write a long sentence, 40 words per sentence. Other people just stick to 10 lines, 10 words a sentence. I use punctuation different from how you use punctuation. Michael said, you said in the video that Paul fell out with the disciples. I'm not sure if I did. It wasn't a big thing for me. But I said it's unusual because I don't use that language. But I can see a possibility if I had read something, then I regurgitated. So I give him that. But I question him if he really said that. Because it is the same thing how we can determine Paul's writings are Paul's writings or they're not his writings. Stylistics, corpus linguistics, the study of history, where he was, when it was written. And so going back to your question, there was never unanimity or consensus. Early scholars, later scholars, modern scholars. My man George.
So I'm going to be a Muslim from now on. Do what you're going to do.
No, but you ask me because forget about his.
Thank you. That was a general overview of a lot of things. So, first of all, no one's denying there was no arguments. No one's denying there was no people interpret like Marcion. For example, for example, Marcion. Marcion, there was like the Jehovah's Witnesses, what they believe the Iranian, what they call the Aryans. There were many groups that were trying to attack, interpreting it their way. and there were arguments, yeah? So of course, what the Muslims do, or scholars, alleged scholars like Bart Ehrman, which is, I don't even consider him as a scholar, to tell the truth, all right? Because he's been so debunked so many times, all right? And he's lied.
But there's many. There's Bruce Metzger, F.F. Bruce, Dan
These
Wallace.
are all modern scholars.
No,
yeah?
Dan Wallace is very conservative.
Yeah,
There's
but
many
these scholars.
Don Wright.
Yeah, you're going through all these Western scholars. Have you been to the Eastern Orthodox?
No,
for example?
I haven't.
Have you been in the monasteries?
No, I haven't.
St. Catherine's? Have you been in Mount Sinai? Have you been to Mount Athos? Have you seen how the early church put the Bible together? Who put the Bible together?
Who did?
How did they put the Bible together? 1 minute. Please, let me do my role.
Do your role, man. Do your thing.
Of course there were arguments. Marcion, for example, just before he died, he admitted it was wrong what he was doing, separating the New Testament, the New Testament God with Old Testament God. All right? Go and see how he's been debunked on YouTube.
I don't think he recanted from that.